Well, good evening. My name is Brian Estes. I am the CAL FIRE Unit Chief for the Nevada Yuba Placer Unit, and I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for the 7 p.m. Incident update on the Rice's fire here in Nevada County. So we've made some tremendous progress over the last 24 hours since most of us first started talking about this incident. As we know, it started on about 24 hours ago, or a little bit more so, at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The fire progressed rapidly to the north and northeast toward the main fork of the Yuba River drainage. We launched just an incredible aviation, aerial, and ground resource initial attack and extended attack assault on this fire, and just had some really unbelievable efforts into yesterday afternoon and last night. We've been in unified command first, as always, in Nevada County with our partners with the Sheriff's Office, and then last night we entered into unified command with our partners from the Yuba County Sheriff's Office. So I do have some good news about today. We are definitely far from being out of the woods, but we have shown some significant progress. The Rice's fire currently sits at 904 acres. We are showing 10% containment on the fire, which is really positive. Overnight, in the early morning hours and overnight, the fire did progress down to the bottom of the Yuba River drainage. As most of you remember, one of our primary objectives was to keep the fire from crossing the Yuba River and moving into Yuba County from Nevada County, which would have posed a number of issues moving into multiple counties, as well as the threat to some communities in Yuba County. Right now, the fire is 100% holding in Nevada County. At last check, about 1 hour ago, our hand crews on the left flank were about 1,000 feet from cutting this out and tying it in to the bottom of the river canyon. On the right flank, an hour ago, they were 150 feet from the river's bottom. Just an incredible effort in some of the most unforgiving and treacherous terrain in our region. So I can't understate the efforts from all of our CAL FIRE firefighters, fire crews, our allied agencies, and our representatives from across the region who have assisted us in this firefight. We do have some news to release on the fire cause. The start of the vegetation fire was caused by an exposure from a structure fire. The structure fire is still under investigation, but we have confirmed that the vegetation fire started as a result of a working structure fire in the Rice Crossings Road area. We've had no changes in the amount of structures damaged or destroyed. Officially, we've been able to identify one. We know there are more, and already starting tonight and well into tomorrow, our damage inspection teams will be canvassing the area in great detail. We'll be working with Nevada County on that, and we will have a much more accurate number of structures damaged and destroyed by tomorrow afternoon and evening. Before I turn it over to my partners from the Sheriff's Office, I just wanted to extend our thanks on behalf of CAL FIRE to all of our allied agencies, both from our federal partners, the U.S. Forest Service, BLM, state parks, and our California Office of Emergency Service, who help us with our local government commitments across the state of California. And also our commitment from our elected officials here in Nevada County. The Board of Supervisors, primarily Supervisor Sue Hook here in this district, is just a champion of CAL FIRE in our efforts here in the county with the fire services and the allied manner in which we work. And lastly, like I said, we are far from being out of the woods, and we've got a big firefight on our hands tomorrow. While you may not have seen the plumes and the columns that you saw in the first 24 hours, rest assured there is plenty of fire underneath that inversion, and there are lots of people doing lots of hard work and committing themselves into that canyon to secure it. And I want to thank, lastly, before I turn it over to the Sheriff's Office, our public out there in Nevada County, their commitment to the evacuation efforts and staying out of those areas so that fire crews can get in effectively and do the job to save lives and property. So with that, I will turn it over to Captain Sam Brown from the Nevada County Sheriff's Office.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. I'll give an update on our evacuation situation. Currently, we have Zone Haven that we're utilizing as our software to help the public understand where the evacuation zones are at, as well as utilizing messaging such as Code Red to kind of get that information out to people. We're also using Ready Nevada County. That's another source for people to go to get up-to-date information on our evacuations through Zone Haven. We still have 4 zones that are evacuated, and best we can estimate off of our information and working with our CAL FIRE partners is we believe we have about 250 residences that are likely evacuated with about 300 people. We do have a shelter open at the Madeline Helling Library, and earlier today I was advised that we had about 10 people at the shelter thus far with some of their animals and other pets and things of that nature, so they're trying to do the best they can under these circumstances. Along with that, we have 5 areas on Zone Haven, 5 zones that are separated out as warnings. We've been working really closely with our fire partners, talking throughout most of today regarding when can we repopulate, things like that. We're starting to get questions of those things. I can assure you that it's been a huge topic, and we have been talking with our fire partners, and we're trying to gauge the safety of people moving back in and not having to send people back out if we did choose to repopulate. I've been fortunate enough that our fire partners have been able to take time out of their planning and everything like that to sit down, really look at our maps, and we can look at their maps and have real honest discussions about what it looks like. And we hope to have those furthering tomorrow and give some updates as we get closer. I appreciate that we have a really great unified command. We have a great relationship with our fire partners. We've had Placer County out here helping us, CHP, state parks. Yuba County obviously is out here, and we're ready to help support them as well. We also have an animal shelter that's operating. There's an animal shelter here at the fairgrounds. Our animal control staff and their volunteer program have recovered about 118-ish animals as of earlier this morning. And so people have a need and some things like that we're able to help deal with. That means they have to feed those animals, care for them, and take care of those things throughout the day. And so we're trying to do the best that we can to help support people that have been displaced. Along with that, I just want to say thanks for our staff that's been working pretty much around the clock, conducting evacuations, then turning into security to keep everybody safe. And I assure everybody in the community that we're doing the best that we can, and if you need services or some assistance, please don't hesitate to give us a call so we can help you out. And with that, I'll turn it over to my partner, Ken Smith, from Yuba County Sheriff's Office.
Hello. Well, as was stated earlier, the fire is holding at the river, separating Yuba and Nevada County, thanks to our partners in CAL FIRE and their hard work. We have in Yuba County a plan in place if it does cross, but we're not anticipating that at this time with the information provided by CAL FIRE. But if it does pass, we will, in fact, we have a plan in place that we'll activate, and there are personnel in place for that. If there are any questions after this briefing, we'd be happy to answer that. Back to you, Chief.
Thank you, Lieutenant. So at this time, we'd be happy to field any questions from the group. No questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, so you got 4th of July, and fireworks are on sale right now. So thoughts on that and the sale of fireworks right now?
Yeah, great question. The question was regarding the sale of fireworks and the upcoming 4th of July holiday weekend. So one of the things that across the board, all fire service, specifically CAL FIRE, we make sure that while we commit heavy resources and an aggressive initial attack to incidents like this, we never reduce our coverage in our home stations, and that's because of our commitment to new fires. And as we come into the holiday weekend, it's even more important. We will have a full breadth of our fire prevention law enforcement officers out patrolling. Obviously, in Nevada County and Placer County, unincorporated areas, fireworks are illegal, with the exception of a few municipalities, a few cities. But across our jurisdictional areas, fireworks are illegal. And so we are very serious about both the patrol, the detection of, and our full resources are at hand for suppression of unwanted fires caused by fireworks.
One other question. Just before the change of season into the summer, we had a couple of weeks of like cool and average temperatures and some rain. Before those,
Yeah, great question. And the question was really, so did we get any reprieve from some of those, late spring, early summer storms? Frankly, I would say that was a little bit more akin to some of our more traditional early summers that we've seen, you know, uh, um, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, before we saw this really dramatic shift to that 2015 and forward drought cycle. I would say the answer is yes and no. Yes, we did see a little bit of reprieve from that in those fire seasons that traditionally over the last 5 years, were giving us fits in March and April. That's very untraditional for California. So I would say that that's been good. However, the fact of the matter is that the results of the 2015 through 2018 drought are still with us. And so a lot of the vegetation is so stressed that it will never recover, regardless of those short periods of moisture in that. And we really saw that yesterday. Even in late June, we saw moderate to long-range spotting in this fire yesterday, which really attributed to most of the rapid spread. So what I attest that to is that drought-stressed vegetation, that's done. That will not recover from those late spring storms, and we will be dealing with that this year and into future fire seasons. Yes, ma'am. I think that's optimistic. We're shooting for July 1st. We always adapt those back and forth as we need to, but we like to try to establish a date so we can start, as Captain Brown said, we need to start looking at those things like repopulation of these communities, getting that sense of normality reestablished into the community. So, CAL FIRE, we do not like to extend those containment dates out. We like to shoot for the soonest possible date and adjust from there. Yeah. So the question was, describe kind of the conditions of this canyon. So the Yuba River drainage has a number of tributaries, but the main Yuba River drainage is one of the deepest, largest river drainages we have in Northern California. And this particular area below Bullard's Bar is an area where it's punctuated with sharp corners and huge rock escarpments that you see that are very much like sheer cliffs. So what these firefighters are seeing is they're coming off the rims of these canyons in heavy vegetation, the dozers, the hand crews, and they're taking line down and they're getting to areas where they're hitting these rock bands that are dropping off sheer drops of sometimes 20, 30, 150 feet. And at night that becomes especially dangerous. So we try always to go as direct as possible to the fire line. It's the safest and most effective way to fight fire. But yeah, there are areas on this canyon, and we're seeing it on this fire, where you physically cannot get people over some of these rock escarpments. Yeah, our crews, we're working all 24-hour shifts. They will continue to operate and construct line and work, fire hose and operations through the nighttime hours. Like I said yesterday, we are expecting to see that diurnal shift in the winds that will shift 180 degrees and start coming down canyon. The humidity should rise, the temperature should go down, and it should allow us to pick up some of those areas as we get right down to the river. Well, we have about little over 700 people assigned to the fire. So if you split that in half, about 350 per shift, 24 hours on, 24 hours off.
And do you have air attack at night?
We have some intelligence aircraft that fly at night, and we do have a night flying air attack if we need it, but we do not fly the retardant dropping air tankers at night. So most of our night flying aircraft are mapping with infrared sensors and getting us the intelligence so that we can implement our plans the following day.
That chopper, that crew came from Southern California last year.
Yeah.
Is that new? So is it that same crew? And are they available?
And you're talking about the QRF program out of Orange County. That's part of the regional aircraft inventory, and if needed, it would certainly be available. This terrain out here is not as conducive to the environment that they're working in Orange County, where you have a lot of natural light, or I should say man-made light that lights up the area. At night, these river canyons are you know, very, very dark and very treacherous, and the terrain is unforgiving for night flying aircraft. It doesn't mean that we aren't using night flying aircraft, but on this particular fire, it's just not necessary to accomplish our goals.
What have you been able to take from fire season up until this point, and if incidents like today or just this fire in general would change anything as we continue on with the fire season?
So the question was, you know, how am I looking at this fire season, and how are we going to change or continue on through the fire season? I would say that we are experiencing exactly what I expected for this year, and that's a result of a 5-year drought-stressed California. And I expect that we will see burning conditions like this continue on through the next month. I expect they will get significantly worse into the end of July, August, and September, until we see our annual late summer, early fall winds. So I don't really see it letting up at all from this point forward. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. You know, lastly, I just want to recognize the work from our firefighters out there. As a fire chief, I'm very, very proud of the efforts from, you know, the CAL FIRE, specifically my CAL FIRE initial attack efforts on that first 12 to 16 hours. The men and women that I lead and command, I just could not be more proud of, and they really, you know, combined with the efforts of our local government partners in that first period, really contributed to our success. So a big thanks to them, and we will continue to update you as more information comes in. So thank you very much.